Hello everybody, this is Naomi live to you from Mexico, and I got some court transcripts from Arlington, Virginia, and I have been dreading reading these court transcripts. I didn't want to read them. I knew that I was gonna find something that would really upset me, but I have them in front of me. I'm reading them and I can't say I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm reading the court transcripts from Esther Wiggins Lyles, the case of little Sabrina Hay, and I'm reading how Esther Wiggins came to her determination that Nancy and Kit were unfit parents. So what I'd like to do is to take a moment here to read to you all what this woman said. It's a very difficult case. The child has been in foster care for 14 months at this time, and I do not see clearly that the parents have made a lot of progress since January. I find it interesting that you call them foster parents. I see that his friends at Child Protective Services helped him get a baby that, correct me if I'm wrong, he was looking to adopt a child in the first place. So let's not call them foster parents. Unless they were actually licensed foster parents at the time, they're not foster parents. Okay, so now I'm going to read to you guys a little bit about how Esther Wiggins determines that somebody is an unfit parent. Okay, now I did watch the videotape of Sabrina with her parents, and I thought that there was just too much going on with that family visiting. Well, you should meet my family. I thought Sabrina enjoyed playing with the child that was there with her. That's right, she did. Congratulations, you got that one right. But she was being touched quite a bit. By whom? I found that quite disturbing, you know. She wasn't smiling that much. She wasn't smiling that much. You liar. You filthy liar. I watched those videos.
Look at baby. Little baby.
Sabrina was laughing and smiling and she was having a great time. What are you talking about? She wasn't smiling that much. Esther Wiggins Lyles, you are a liar.
What do horses going on? I'm just kidding, little baby. Yeah.
Here's the part where we're talking about some real serious child abuse going on here. There was a little stroller that she got into. I thought it was a toy stroller that she got into. I didn't think it was a baby stroller because she had a doll in it. She takes the doll out and she gets in it. But given that, assuming that it wasn't a toy, which I thought it was, that it was a real stroller. She sat in it and the little kid was maybe 3, was pushing her around. The adults were around, but clearly that was not a good thing. Okay? She could have easily fallen out. Okay, so little Sabrina gets into a toy stroller and a little 3-year-old decides to try pushing her around in it. And the adults were all just standing around insipidly with this blank look on their face. Woman, have you ever been to a daycare center before? I worked in a daycare center for 2.5 years. Children do that kind of stuff all the time. There's nothing weird about that. This is what I see going on in all of these court transcripts. The evidence of abuse that they have really reflects that Esther Wiggins was actively looking for a reason for these parents not to have custody of this little Sabrina. CPS wanted this little girl adopted to their friend. Ergo, whatever CPS has to say on this matter is irrelevant because they were helping out a friend. Not hard to understand. Real easy to understand. So of course CPS said, yes, they're unfit, but they failed to ever produce any evidence that Nancy or her husband are unfit. Everything is frivolous nonsense. I mean, it literally reminds me of what Esther Wiggins had said about me abusing my daughter by letting her watch a Baby Einstein cartoon. For example, if there was like a spot on my floor, right, and we had that on video, Esther Wiggins would say, look, see that spot on the floor? See it? Ha-ha! There's proof that it's unhygienic and dangerous for children. That's how her mind works. She actively looks for reasons to do whatever it is she wants to do. The fact is is that in reading all of this, Esther Wiggins had no intention from the very beginning of ever giving this little girl back to Nancy and Kit. That's what is really going on. So I'm going to go on a little bit further and tell you a little bit more what's going on here. Wiggins says that Nancy and Kit are unfit to be parents because they are not able to deal with anything that comes up that is unexpected. Again, I need to see evidence before determining whether or not that is true or false. I saw her in some parts of the video reaching for the camera, of course, but I also saw her with Miss Hay. She was pushing her away. Sabrina was pushing her mother away some and just didn't seem to be comfortable with what was going on at that particular moment. Okay, so what she's saying is that there were moments in all of these home videos where Sabrina pushed away her mother. Again, she sees that as proof somehow that the child is being abused or neglected. And then on some part of the video, I saw that she was on the deck and that there was a little table, and I was watching and she was under the table, and I'm saying she's going to hit her head. She's going to do it. She's going to bump her head. She's going to bump her head. And then in fact, she bumped her head. All the while, Miss Hay was just standing there, and the father just was standing there with the camera, and no one moved her out from the table. Okay, so what Wiggins here is claiming is that this little girl was on the deck and that she was under a little table, and the child bumped her head and nobody moved the child from under the table. And this is now the evidence that Esther Wiggins needs to say that a little girl should be taken away from her parents and given away. This is complete and total bullshit. That's exactly what this is. I have to say, Nancy, you have it a hell of a lot worse than I did. At least in my case, I have the French government backing me up. I have French attorneys backing me up. I have empirical, concrete evidence that my daughter's father abandoned her in a foreign country for 5.5 years, maintaining a very sophisticated compounding lie, exploiting Esther Wiggins. I can prove that Esther Wiggins was exploited by somebody that she trusted 100%. And no matter what Esther Wiggins does or says, she can't erase the fact that my daughter's father stuck a knife in her back. And I have the French government to assist me. And I have to follow the recommendations that the French government set out because they can actually intervene. What happened to you and your husband is just disgusting and disturbing. I'm reading this and I'm reading this. And I showed my husband some of this and we're just aghast. How can this be? How can a civilized country allow this to happen? So pretty much at the end of the court transcripts, Judge Wiggins pretty much says that she wants to terminate these parents' rights of custody, which is not a surprise because that was her intention from the very beginning. After all the money spent to get this little girl back with her home, and you know, the amazing thing is that this whole thing was started because little Sabrina lost a few ounces of weight after she left the hospital, which is perfectly normal. Parents are exonerated of child abuse. They were not starving their child to death. The little girl just lost a little bit of weight. And in the meantime, CPS, Child Protective Services, came in because it just so happened that at that time, a lawyer wanted to adopt a child. And so Esther Wiggins pretty much just gives them whatever they want to do. This is corruption. This is evil. Absolutely evil. It's one of the most evil things that I have ever seen. And I have seen some very evil things. I mean, I've heard some pretty bad things in my life, but taking away this little girl and giving her away and doing all of these things, and in short, they're also saying that the reason that they need to give this little girl away is because she was in foster care for 14 months. Well, she wasn't in foster care, she was with the lawyer and his wife. They were not foster parents, technically speaking, and that, you know, the little girl wouldn't have remembered her mother anyway, and that she hadn't bonded with her mother. Well, she had bonded with her mother. The whole argument is completely frivolous. I have to wonder, when I think about Wiggins and the justifications that she comes up with and how she actively looks for reasons to say that somebody's unfit, I have to wonder, how can Arlington, Virginia stand for this? How can a person be a decent, moral human being and do things like this to children? This is fairly easy to understand. I'm not going to go on a little rant about it anymore. This is just too infuriating and it's just too disgusting.